Bevan Bird here. In this video I'm talking about looking at the community feed on Discord, which you click on Explore once you're logged in to your account. We won't look at that right now, but I have some examples here that we're going to look at, and we can also look in there, and you can do that. And I've already showed that in the previous video, which was about navigating Midjourney in Discord. So here I looked at this one, right? I clicked on it, or I pressed, held down the control key and clicked on this image in the feed and got to the page for that one. See, identified by its job ID. So here we are on this one. Take a closer look at the elephant and the style, and then it's like if you want to use the style, you can do that. So copy full command, not just prompt. Copy the full command and it will include the arguments here, like for example with stylize and chaos settings, whatever's in there. So we just copied it and you paste, and there it is. Here I'm just fixing a typo, and it says an elephant's head, but you can turn that into whatever. So if it's a portrait of a person, right, or man or whatever, and you can put in there aged something, and with blue eyes or whatever. See, or like woman aged with blonde hair, yeah, blue eyes, etc. So it says made of dripping mercury, yeah, in psychedelic colors, 3D concept art, thick line art. So that's like making a modification of this style and using that to make it draw something. So that would be what you would imagine in Midjourney. And just put that in. But we do need the prompt, right? Okay. Alright, so we're going to try that prompt. Okay. And if you, yeah, you could play around with stylized and chaos too, right? So here we'll go age 30, and then we'll go stylize. That's like, I think 0 to 1,000. 1,000 would be the most. I'll just put 100, and so that will be lower, and so there's less artistic license. But if I put that up to 1,000, that would be the maximum. So we'll see that. So I'll show 500, and then I'll show it with 1,000. So that way we create an experiment and we compare those. So that's giving it more artistic license to go farther beyond what we've described. And then the other thing is like chaos. So we got stylize in there. Let's leave that at, say, let's go with like 500 or 750. So that's very high. And the chaos is like 1 or 0 to 100. So 100 will be the maximum chaos. So we'll put in several values for chaos, several possible values. So here we're keeping stylize the same, we're only changing chaos. So maximum chaos, 100 for chaos. So we'll try that with several different values. I think you could use 0 probably, unless it's just 1 to 100, but it's 0 is probably the minimum, and then 100 will be the maximum. And we'll put in 52, right? There. So we'll get to see what happens with that also in a moment. Okay. So here, on anything that you're looking at, you can also explore related. So you take a look down there, and one of them that I liked was this one here. So if I hold, you can just click it, but also hold down Control, click it, it opens a new tab. That's what I've already done before. So that's here. That's the same one. And so this one's written differently in the style of pop art, digital vector graphics on white background. See, it's not written the same way as this one. Okay, so I was like, yeah, I like this, but see, you can still do that process as many times as you want. So exploring, and like see this, the paint that's kind of splashed out like that there. But anyway, take a look at this one. Okay, it's got a bit of that paint splatter. Hold down Control, click that one, and like we can see how that prompt is written here on this page. Okay, so that's the first one I looked at, and that's the prompt. And that's the next one I looked at, and the prompt there, and this other part, right? and then here the third one. Alright, and yeah, they wanted a t-shirt design. Okay, and they're combining multiple things together, as you can see. And anyway, this is the result of that. And then if you wanted to use that style, yeah, copy, full command, as I've done for all three of these here. First, second, third. So when we do that, we paste it, that's what we have. And then we can change that to whatever we want. Like here, it's a colorful rainbow realistic elephant head, but then it could become a tiger head. And if you look at the whole rest of it, that's all good, that'll work. And then we can just imagine that too. So that's without changing the style at all, except just changing the elephant to the tiger. So that's another example there. Okay, and so that's good. And then I guess we'll just look at these because this is what we created by putting those prompts in. Okay, let's see here. 35-year-old woman. Okay, so we got this one. And then this one here, right, 22-year-old. Okay, 22-year-old instead of 35. And then for some reason that's still generating there. 30. So I said, okay, now age 30, and then we start to change these different things. So I have stylize at 750, chaos 10. Okay, so first we looked at stylize, so we're just comparing several values. So stylize 100. Here's one. Okay, so it's relatively low value for stylize. Here's at 500, so it's higher. So now it will have more artistic license, like more freedom to artistically go beyond what we described. So the style will change, and yeah, it will be more artistic. And then 1,000 would be the highest. You can use any number from 1 to 1,000 or 0 to 1,000. So here's 1,000. So the only variable I was doing there was changing stylize, and there's the maximum. That's what I've showed right here. So that's also very useful, of course, right? And then here we then try out chaos. So the chaos is like the variation between the images inside the grid. Like you get these different results, right? 4 options, and you can keep re-rolling as many times as you want and get 4 different ones every time, right? But how much variation that you're going to see, the distance between these, that like how different they will be to each other, that's chaos. So that's this next variable we're playing with here. So I've set stylize to 750. That's giving it like a pretty high amount of freedom, artistic license to go beyond what we've described and be creative and do something different. So that's the higher that is, that's more artistic freedom, and lower is just making it more closer or more like photorealistic to what we described. So we're keeping the stylize at 750 constant because we're only going to change one variable. But the thing we're going to change is chaos. So here's chaos 100. So they're all going to have stylize 750. But now the chaos is at 100, and you can see the variation between each of these. Now we'll go to 0. So that has very little variation then, so they're all going to be close. So now you can see they are similar designs, right? And in this one, they're quite a bit different. So you get more variety. So super useful to know that. So now here 50, that's in between, it's in between 0 and 100. And yeah, 100 is the maximum, so that's halfway in between. It's chaos is different from stylize. It's not just going from 0 to 1,000. It's from 0 to 100, so it's like a percentage. So you got 0, then they're all close together, and 100, they can go as far apart as they want to. And so you can play with the values for stylize and chaos. And then there's our tiger. So that's like, instead of making an elephant like that in this style, then we wanted a tiger. So that's an experiment there. That's what we got. And if you like one of them, you could just upscale it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, so number 3, or make variations of it and keep iterating, or whatever. And then this is another, it's just chaos 10, right? So that's closer because chaos goes from 0 to 100. So here was 0, there was chaos at 100. That's 0. There's 50, halfway. And this is at 10, so it's close to 0. So we're just giving it a little bit of variation between them, like some. And so that's a good experiment. You could see the result there. This is back to playing with stylize. Actually, I think I just did variations of something. That's why we got it. And it was one with stylize 100. So we're done that chaos experiment, right? This one, if you click on the parent, see the video that I just created, the previous video, that's on navigating in Discord and Midjourney. Yeah, so I clicked to go to the parent, and there we are, and you can see here I just re-rolled it. So it's just putting the same prompt in again. You can use repeat, so we'll do that too, but you have to pick something you want to repeat. So like in this one we got stylize at 500, and remember we've experimented with chaos, so let's try something where we have stylize at 500. These were some results we had with that, but the chaos was at the default value because we didn't specify it. See, it was at default or whatever we've set it to, but I think it's just going to be default, so we're going to put that in there. Stylize 500. Chaos will be 75, like for very high, so it'll explore a lot then, right? So let's do that. Space 75, and then we'll use repeat also. Repeat 5 times, and we'll ask you if you want to do that. Yes. So then it's just the same as putting that same prompt in 5 times. So it'd be, whoops, it'd be like putting this prompt in here, but then just continuing to imagine that same prompt 5 times, or going, once you put the prompt in, then clicking re-roll for like 4 more times, right? Okay, so that's how you can use that. I'm not going to show you a whole bunch of different things in this video, just that. So yeah, this video is about looking at the community feed and then finding things and making them in that style. So I've already got a few here, and there's going to be something else which I actually have to find, so I'll come back to you when I have that. But this is a good example right here, right? Like say you wanted to make a painting in that style but with yourself in it, right? Starring yourself, like using a photo of yourself. So here's the prompt, but remember to go copy full command. Okay, so you get the whole, you get the prompt and the arguments. And here's the URL too, so I'll put that there together, just like I did with the earlier ones, the elephant. Okay, so we have this other one here, which is a good example. And then if you want to make an image, I mean, see, yeah, I'm a man instead of a woman, right? But I could still do that. I can still use it if I want. So that's what we'll just do here. Like say we go, I don't have to have the sunglasses though, right? But colorful, that word in there will affect it. But anyway, whatever. Okay, see, in the style of different artists, and then layered portraits, another artist, dark magenta and green, dynamic action painting. Okay, we can just leave it, but if we want to change the colors, we just pick a different color. Alright, see that part right there, like for example, so say we change that. Okay, just change one part of it, and then it says version 5.2. There's an aspect ratio in there, and stylize at 250. There's also the style command, but we're not going to use that right now. We're not going to do that here. We're just using that style or modifying from it. I'm not really modifying from that, aside from changing that color there. Or you can make it yellow, but that's a different variation, so you can try that. Right, and also, what if we had the stylize higher, right? Yeah, and we're just leaving chaos out of it. But if we want to specify that, we would. So at first, you could have more chaos, explore more, and then you could lower your chaos as you're doing variations of things, because you're going wide first and then going deep after. And so refining it, right, is making more subtle variations. So that would be small, that would be lower chaos. Okay, but then I could use this and just make art, right? And we can do that, and then we could find something we like there and do a variation of it and add in my photo of me to modify it in that way. Or we can start the same thing. We can start with this, but actually have the photo in there. So then we're adding an image prompt. So that link to that image is right here. That is just this image here. It's just a photo. It's already been uploaded. And if I just add that link in, then that's what we'll get. Okay, we can see what we've generated. So earlier we were looking at those, yeah, and then I showed you a repeat. So we did, I think that's this here, yeah, because you can see it's the same, stylize 500, chaos 75, and it repeats 5 times. So that's the result of it. So we have a pretty high stylize, so it can go beyond what we've described and be more creative. And then also, yeah, okay, stylize is 500, but it's still relatively high. Chaos is like very high, right? So then they differ from each other by quite a bit. So then we're going wide. We're exploring a larger area of the potential space for this prompt. Okay, so that's what we can do first, and then pick one that we like, and then you could build from there. You could then narrow down the chaos, right? But you would leave the stylize the same, because narrowing down the chaos would mean that the 4 that you get here will then be closer together. So then it's like more of a subtle variation instead of a more like a large one, because there's a lot of variation between each, so it's exploring like all over the place, right? So it gives you a lot of variety. Okay, and then this is where I used this style and said a man looking at something with excitement, right? So his emotion is he's excited, right? And we changed it to dark yellow and green instead of dark magenta and green. All right, there's 4 examples with the stylized 750, and then another one with stylized at 250, and then another one again. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of paint. Okay, and then yeah, I've added in my photo now, so then I got this one using my picture in there, right? Yeah, and so also see, if you were working from these ones, after you've done variations multiple times and you know, refined it, you could then still introduce your own photo in at a later stage, and you can remove it as well and let it and do some iterations with having removed it. So lots of things you can experiment with in making your self. I have a few more that I found in the community feed that I'm showing you here. So probably I will have to give you the links to each one of these, like in the notes, so you'll have it just like how we had that one. That's why we got the prompt here along with the link, so that it's you can get back to it, because each one of those also has related, right? So you can explore, find a style, whatever, make a variation of it, iterate. So I will give you the link to each one that I show you then, so you can see the prompt for each one of these, and see there, stylize 750, chaos 40, like 40%. And this other one, so just interesting different styles, right? That's why I'm showing you these here. That's like a photo, and it's a photo in a certain kind of style, in a certain mood and stuff. Okay, and then this one, I think it probably has kind of a specific prompt, not super specific, it's just that, but notice that it has a longer negative prompt than positive. So this part here is the negative prompt. If you put your mouse over this, you'll see the text weighting there, 1, and then here, negative 0.5. But look below, here, this no command, right? Or argument. if we go and copy the full command, which is what you want to do when you look at something on the community feed, right, and we paste it, then you can see here, look how much of it is negative prompt, which is all that. Here's the chaos, see, and then stylize. Okay, and style, you put a certain word after each one. That's a thing where there's specific words. Those are options, you can put them there. That's a different thing than stylize, but I won't go into that in this video. We'll do that in another time. So look at how much they have in the negative prompt. A lot, right? Gross proportions, JPEG artifacts, bad things, right? Deformed body parts, extra arms, extra fingers, extra legs, limbs, and all kinds of things, right? Poorly drawn hands, and you don't want a signature or watermark or whatever. Okay, so that's good, and it looks like it's giving a good quality result there, but that we don't know what would happen when you put this prompt in. You can put it in many times to get many results, but then you could also find out the seed. Okay, it doesn't show the seed, but you can do this with your own job though. If you created something, then you could find the seed of that one, of this one, your specific image that you made, and use that in it, like -- seed. You add that in here, -- seed, and that number, in order to make things that are less variable. Like they're similar to what you're doing, because you put the same seed number in, but then you're changing parts of it, like you write different color of hair or some kind of other thing in the description. So this is the specific description for this one. Anyway, there's another example. And then this one. So the point here is they're all just different styles. Okay. And then this. So you can learn a lot from going through the community feed, finding things that are good or that you want to emulate or make or even modify the style from, and then you do that. You go to them like this, and then you copy the full command and put it in your own note, and then you can also make variations of that, like edit the thing and start trying them, right? Making your own stuff with it and see what happens. Okay. Alright, so yeah, they didn't add anything after it. It's just this prompt. Okay, so I will give you those, and I'm going to continue looking for the other specific one. I don't know where it is, but I will show it to you, because there's a certain example we're going to do to show how I made this one, and it's based on something, and I did actually make a couple variations to the prompt, but I'll show you what it was based on, so that'll be cool. When looking at the community feed, well, to get to it you click explore once you're logged in on Midjourney, logged into your account with Discord. So click explore, and then I would look at top and hot and rising. So you can then find a style, like this is another example, because we're making portraits, right? So if you wanted to make your portrait like this style or something like it, then you could do that too. So as we said before, right, you copy full command. Yeah, and the other thing is you can save a copy of the image, so you just click that there to save it, and that will pop up. And then also you can scroll down and look at you can explore related ones, and on any of those you can click on them or hold down Control and click. So you can do that with any that you want to copy a style. And you might just be seeing other things that the same person created. Okay, so just pointing out other ones that I bookmarked earlier. This goat with these dripping colored paints, and then this one. It says it's based on a game about an African woman in a fancy dress in the style of Raphael Lacoste. It also says here Ramses Hunan, so it's probably another artist there. And see, realistic figurative paintings. Everything you put in here will affect the style. Everything. Anything you add or anything you take out also. Okay, and another one, and it says here Fabian Perez style painting. See, but there's more. It all adds to it. And the negative prompt is unusual hand form. Although the hand is strange though, still there. See, no unusual hand form. Other variations, right? Okay, and this is like very realistic, right? And then here's some related ones. Okay, yeah, see, very specific description of the camera and lens, and then and it's photography, and then this one, that's also photography too, right? But it's AI photography. Simulated. The image should be hyper realistic, highly detailed, and high resolution 4K. Use a Nikon D850 DSLR, right? High quality camera. And then yeah, here's some related ones. So I'm doing an experiment with this. I put the same prompt in, so we go copy, full command, I imagine them, and then I put a different stylize. So that experiment is in progress there right now. Actually, it just finished, so we can see that. So here it says stylize 50. That was their prompt. That's the way they had it. I did the full command and just imagined it. Okay, and so then I just changed the stylize variable value. So here we have 50, but we're not playing with chaos, right? So there's a certain amount of chaos to have a variation between each one, and we haven't specified the camera angle, but if you wanted to, you could. So here we got stylize at 0, right? So it should be like photorealistic. It's not going to have much it's going to have minimum artistic license to go beyond and like be creative beyond what you described. But here we have stylized 500, which is pretty high, and that's halfway to the maximum. So there you can see that they're quite different than the previous one. So those are more like photorealistic, and this one's more artistic. And then I go to 750 next, so even higher, and then I also tried 1000. Okay, so there's 1000. Alright, and 50 again, just like at the beginning. Okay, cool. Okay, more bookmarked styles. Still not the one that I was looking for, but that's alright. Yeah, so this one here. See, if you wanted to make your portrait thing like this, or something like it, because you can change the style, here's what went into this one. And see, there's no image prompt. There's the parent. This is an upscale from one of those. We don't know the whole path going up though, right? But we can see how they've described it, and we just go copy, full command as always to use that. But for now I'll just show you each one of these. Okay, so this one, that's kind of like that's kind of photorealistic, right? Okay, so this is the description right here. Focused look into camera, right? Extremely detailed, realistic. I'm not sure when it was done. It doesn't really say that. Okay, and then that one, right? Completely different. Okay, illustration for sublimation, it says right there. And front view, right? You could put profile view, whatever. You can do low angle, that's like looking up at the person from below, or a different, you can change the angle. You can do different composition and everything. Okay, here, this other one. Okay. It says that there's billowing clouds of yellow and black smoke on a black background. And these are related ones, right? So you can find other styles also, if you want. And this one, oh yeah, like Carnival, Brazilian Carnival. And it's a photograph, an award-winning photograph, colorful, fun. Doesn't have a lot of description, right? But it works. So then you could imagine yourself at the Carnival without being there, and make this art about anybody, because you can put any image into it, right? So you can base it on any style you want, and then modify from there too, and even mix the styles together in some new way too. Okay, with this first one here, I'm like, what's mass surrealism? I just googled it. It's a combination of surrealism and mass media, including pop art, like Andy Warhol. Okay, and then another, well, you might want to see that, right? Okay, another one. big green balloon. There should be some static. Yeah, you can see some static there. Okay, a huge green pear-shaped balloon. It spaces it out more, even when you just put the dash in. It'll add spaces here, but I think that it even does that when you copy. But see, the original prompt may have been written like this. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that it does make that edit. Alright, yeah, this is one that I'm talking about. This is a thing that we did an experiment with, because the paint, like the brushes of paint, like the width of each one is quite wide, right? So this style is interesting or whatever. So because of that, right? And I will show you that in a different place. But this is one of those, and there'll be another one that I base a different one on, which resulted in this. But that's still going to be yet a different one. I don't think it was that. No, it's a different thing. Okay, and this thing right here, see, they put two names next to each other, and that worked fine, right? This person and that one as Supergirl, so they're combining them together. Okay, and then I scrolled down a bit, and this is one of these other ones right here. So I click Control, I held down Control and clicked this, and got this one here. And this is very specific, right? So I'll include all of these, because we can always learn from them. If we like the result, right, we can learn from the prompts, and then we can make our own variations of them. Okay, now I'm going to give an example of using something from the Midjourney Community Feed as an inspiration. So the style from this thing here. Now you can also see in this prompt, it also has an image prompt, right? So we have to look at that. You can see that they put this in as part of the prompt. So I think when I first used it, I just went copy prompt, right, which is this part, which doesn't include this part, and it also doesn't include that image prompt. So you can see that here when I tried it. So this was this result, but when I used that prompt, here's what I got, right? Woman wearing white, walking on the beach in Anna Bosek style and pasto oil painting on rustic canvas. And I didn't put in the aspect ratio, right? So by default, square. There's what we get. And yeah, if you want those large blocks of color, then this is one of those styles, right? Right there, which you can reuse. Okay, so, and that's kind of like a waterfall that I imagined, although of course these things are more vertical. But I was trying to figure out how to make the thing, but didn't know. And so that's why it helps to learn more and more styles, and then try using them, and also combine them in new ways. So here, now we have a photo going in with it. But see, notice I'm still not using their photo. That's because I just did the copy the prompt. I hadn't done the full command, which gives you the full command, right? Which is down here. Yeah, see, this is this one. That's the job ID. This is the full command, right, with the prompt and the image prompt there, right, and those arguments or commands. I guess they're just arguments. Okay, so here I've added a photo, right, of Alicia Rep. So see, this is what we got before that. Here's what we got once adding that photo. Now notice it's more zoomed in on them, but that's also because the photo is like a headshot, and so it changes our view, because that's the only difference here, is adding in that photo. But then now we have two image prompts, so look what happens, right? That's cool. But it's also with the aspect ratio, which is a very important thing, and will also change the content of the image. So that was when I realized my oversight and realized that I wanted to actually copy the full command, not just the prompt. So you see the difference. So now we're getting the full command, but instead of just running their command, which is this, I actually added in another image, and that's what I did. That other image is right there, that second one, which you might as well see because that's part of it, right? Because you've got this prompt and the commands and the image prompt that they had, right, which is part of it, so they put that in. however they got that, right? It doesn't matter. It could have been actually painted, or it could also be output from AI, right? It doesn't matter. Or it can be a photo. And so here we have both of these going into it, and then the output is these ones right there. So that's a good example. Stylize is at 250, right? If we vary it, it's going to be completely different. If we raise that, it'll go more artistic, which we could do. If I re-roll it, I think it's going to be the same. But see, we've got remix on. Remix mode is turned on, so I can just change stylize now. So we'll crank it right up. So instead of 250, I'll try that with 750, and also the maximum, like 1000. So just do an experiment with that, changing stylize only. And there's another one. This is just running their prompt again, right? Their full command. It's running their full command with their image prompt, but not adding another image, just keeping theirs. So I tried it both ways, just like I did with the original prompt. I tried it with the prompt plus the photo, so you get to see one versus the other. But then I realized, no, we want full command. So full command with the photo, that's here, and then full command without the photo is there. So then those will be kind of like this, because I'm just putting in the same thing they did, and that's what I get. And it's with its own seed, right? So here, this is what I got, and then if you may be able to find out the seed. Actually, there's a way you can do that in here, I think. But we don't. You have to, if you reply or you react with a certain thing, then the seed will come back. I have to look up how that works. If we upscale one of these, then we will then be able to go and see the seed when we get it on the website, right? See the video where I showed about navigating Discord and Midjourney. Because when you're looking at an upscaled one, you'll be able to click web, and then you'll be on a page like this, right? And you can go here, and then you'll be able to copy the seed, because it will be your own image from here, an image you generated. Oh yeah, right, so that was the experiment. I think that might be the whole thing back then, because it goes on to something completely different. But if we jump to the end, you'll see what we just did. So the new experiment with stylize at different values, they haven't finished, but we did get this one. So with stylize at 1000, we got that. So it's giving it more artistic license to go beyond what we described. And of course we're using both. So we're using their full command, but I increased stylize, and I added the photo. So add a different photo, not just theirs, so I add that one. So that's what we got here. And I didn't fix their typo, like the painting. I forgot to fix that this time. The earlier time when I tried it, I changed this, right, and just wrote the word painting there. But here, I was coming off of this directly, right, and so I hadn't modified that word there. Okay, just making a note of that. So here we have one that I upscaled, right? So then you could go to web if you want, and you'll be able to get the seed, as I was showing before. That's just adding one thing, like in the navigate video, which I don't think was in that video. Well, it might have been, but you can then go here and copy the seed. So the seed for this one, and I believe that's the same for all 4 in the grid. See, here we'll go up to the parent. If you're lost, then go back to the navigate video. Navigate Midjourney and Discord, because then you'll be doing this in order, so it'll make a lot of sense. So here, I think the seed for this applies to all 4, and then a certain chaos value will then make them vary from each other, like more. So chaos 100 is the maximum, but I'm not sure if that's true. So we know that we got the seed for this one, and it may be different for all 4 in the grid, but I actually think it's the same for all 4 in the grid somehow. So there's a bit of variation. That's that randomness, the chaos, that makes that happen. So here, this is the prompt we used, right? That's how we made this one. We can then do that and imagine again and put the seed in. We have to copy it again, right? Because I just copied the prompt. So this is this one, right? Because I clicked here, web. So that's that one there. So then we go seed here, and you'll get that, and we can It's not really working. I thought it would have got it. Okay, I think it's just a bug at the moment, because when I go like this and get the seed, it says fetching seed. But the other times it didn't do this, so it wasn't available yet. So then what it had on the clipboard was something else. Okay, that's weird. See, it still doesn't show the seed when I paste, right? But now this time, well, see, now it finally did it, right? Later, maybe it's got it. Nope, it's kind of weird. But we'll just try it again. And if not, then I'm gonna just move on. That's weird. No, it's still not working. See, I gave it time, right? I did the thing with the seed. I let it do that, and then it said seed copied, and then I pasted, but it still wasn't the thing. It was still like the whole prompt. So we have to just ignore that for now. Okay, we're leaving seed out for now. So we did just do an experiment though, stylize 1000, so giving it more artistic license or being more creative, going beyond what we described. So that's one with the maximum, stylize 1000, and this is one with stylize 750. There. Alright, and you'd have to even lower it a lot more to compare it to understand the difference the most, right? So then next we will show another example, another experiment of looking at something on the Midjourney Community Feed and then making something based on that style in a moment. And the previous one was this here, but you can't use that link because that's my link and it's in a direct message with the bot, right? So that won't work, but it's there so that I can go back to it because that's where it starts, and then the rest of them are there, so it's just a quick link to it. Okay, great. So now I've finally found that one, which is an example which we made something from. Okay, so this, yeah, we can just click to the parent and you'll see that was upscaled from one of these. Yeah, so number 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and this is the prompt that they used. Of course, we can go back to that one because if they change the prompt, right, then we'll see that. And this, it has 2 input images, right? So we'll open them. So you'll see what they actually put in to create this, but then I modified from it, so I'll show you that. We'll just go back to where we were here. Okay, so as always, you go copy full command. Right, so we've copied the full command. I've got the note of it here now. And we will look at the images. So they have their description, right, and the style of Raphael, Lacoste, and all this, and also Tex Avery, like a animator, and then which I googled to look up. Okay, and then here's the 2 images. They were in this order. There's the first one, there's the next one, and then it's combining them. So you can see you can do a lot with that because you can get really creative putting different images in. So then what I did is, I'll cue that up. Okay, so we'll continue now. So this is an example of turning the darkness into light. So the prompt says, evil godness of total darkness. And we also have this part here, dark and brooding designer, and eerily realistic. Right. So then you'll see the prompt that I wrote. So I use the same thing, but I add in the photo. So this is the same photo I showed in an earlier example of Alicia Rep. Golden hour, like sunset light, so good goddess, right, instead of evil, instead of darkness, right, of love and light. And I also changed right here, this is all the same, right, but then it says light and inspiring designer instead of what it said there, which was dark and brooding. And then yeah, hyper realistic, I changed that. It said eerily realistic because of the eerie, the effect of the word eerie. So here, using that link takes me to here. This is just a private link, internal link, but here's my post inside my direct message with the Midjourney bot. Here we go, and I upscaled number 4 from that one, and you can see the angel wings up there. Okay, now this also the experiment, same prompt, right? That thing there, exactly the same prompt with the image prompt added in, 1 image. Yeah, this is also noting that, like in the previous example I showed you, you know, like the one with the Oh, okay, this is embarrassing because now it's like, which one were we talking about? Well, that one. You know, in the previous one, like based on that, I had initially just copied the prompt, not the full command, and that's why when I first did it, that's what we were using here. So that's my prompt, and I added in the photo, and here's without adding the photo. So you can see how it's zoomed in, and here it is without adding the photo input image prompt. And also this makes it more photorealistic once I add the photo, right? But this one doesn't have that added in, so it's more like an animation kind of thing, cartoon. Okay, but we don't have the full command, right? Because I only noticed this later, so I probably haven't even tried this experiment properly. But it does have all this though. See, it just doesn't. It does kind of have the full command, it just doesn't have the image prompts. That's all we're missing, and I don't think we've even tried it with them. So no, I haven't. So I will still try that too, so that we can look at it. Although that would only be if we wanted these ones to influence it, which we can. We might as well do that anyway too. Yeah, you can see here that I copied the full command, and it has these two image links at the beginning. That's what I got. I did that the original time too, and then edited from it, because you can see also this part, it's the same, the arguments. But what I did is actually remove those two images and just added one in, and then I also tried it with it or without it. But this time we're going to add these in also, like before, like how it has it. Alright, so I add those together. It's got to have this image too, right? Well, you can try it with it and without it, which is what I'll also do. So that'll be with it and then without it next. There, and we'll just imagine each of those. Okay, so you know, I tried an experiment before, and I did that with my input image and also without it, right? And then now we're doing it again with the original input images added in. So that's those down there. And that's what you get when you do the full command. You then see that those are there. In the beginning of it, it's got both of those. So, yeah, this is from before though. But now, when we do that, that's here. So, yeah, I mean, for me, for the internal link, I just go here and copy message link in Discord. And so here's what we get when we have that input image added in, and also versus not having it added in. So it's still got two input images though, because it's got these other ones. So then it kind of, with those two, it kind of resulted in this when they did it, right? And then I've added a photo. So here's without adding, so just theirs without adding another one. That's what I got. Okay. And then this one is once I added the other image in. So she's influencing it, right? Yeah, and so you can see some difference, right? And then definitely you could also remove the other ones, right? So say we use just say we do this one, right? Either, whatever. Let's say the first one. You can upscale it. We can do a variation. So we do that. Remix is on, so I can edit now. And these are the two which are theirs, the original two input images that are there. That's what those ones are. Because I recognize this. That's the one that I added. So if I take those out now, remember they did have an influence because they were in there once, but now I'm taking them out. So now they won't have influence on it anymore. They still do through this image, like this image is still here, but then we're making a variation of it, but using that image and the rest of the prompt, right? So we're only using this part, and we're not including those, which are these, anymore. So you can do that. You can just change it at any time as you go along. So that's cool. It's worth trying. So there's the upscale. Just upscaled that one. That's what it looks like. And then doing variations of it, you're going to get basically 4 again. which you can do more of if you click here. And you can also do these other things. In the navigating Midjourney and Discord video, we didn't go into like zooming and panning around. I just mentioned that they're there, but we didn't play with them. And you can make it a square, because it's not a square, but if you want to, you can. And if you have a square and then you pan, well, these aren't squares, right? We'd have to go back quite a ways. But yeah, if you have a square and then you, that's not even a square either, because it says like 8.5 to 11. That's like a letter page. But yeah, if you have a square, you could then pan to one side and it will change the shape of it, right? And then you could then make that square again, like this. Say we go down, yeah, then the aspect ratio will change. Okay, and then to turn off remix, or to turn it on, right now it's on, so you could turn it off. That's the command there. So if we do that, it'll toggle, so now it's going to switch off because I had it on. See, now it's off. Okay. So then you'll see the difference, because back here, like if we do a variation, now we won't get the option to change the prompt, right? It's just making variations, so it's still going to have the influence of those two. That's going to stay in there when it makes more variations. As you see, I clicked it and see how the button's blue. The button is blue, right? And we clicked it and we get no option, and it just does it. It's the same back here. When I clicked variation, it'll just do the same thing. It'll just do a variation of that. See how it's blue now, right? And you can't change it when you're doing it. That's because remix is off. But if we turn it back on, you got to put in slash though, right? For commands. Tab, enter. Okay, now remix will turn back on, right? So we can go back up there again. But I'll go up again here. Yeah, so that was this one. Yeah, you can go back, do it again, but basically now we're not remixing it. But then which one is which, right? You want to take out both the originals, we can, and just have Alicia rep. But what if we actually want to take one of those out, right? Have more control over it. Well, let's take a look. We have to see which of those links is which, because at this point I don't know. But right here you can see it, so you don't have to do that, because right there it shows you. That one says it ends with NS if you look at the very bottom, and that one says 5S. So NS is the black clothes, okay, and they're in that order there. So I'm just taking one of them out. So we're still having the influence of this one, the lady bending forward, right? We still have that, and we have the new image that I added to it, which is this one. So both of those are going to combine together there. Okay, so yeah, that's just an example to show about remix or not having it on. And now that we've given it some time, you'll see the results of what we tried earlier. So here's one, the variations I made. You can see that they're all quite similar. So they're variations of something, like from here, because you could do that here or from back there. It's not a big difference. This is just a small one, and then that is just that one 4 times bigger, so 4 times more detail, but basically the same image, right? So those are variations from the upscaled one, and we had all the images in it, but then later I guess we tried it without all of them. Okay, so here we have with all the images in again. Still, it's just variation of the smaller one, right, instead of from the upscale. So we're back there again. It's basically the same thing, but there'll probably be 4 different unique ones, right? Uniqueness at scale, because there's different seed as well. And then here we have now, yeah, a different experiment. So now you can see her face should be changing, because the person is based on not that one there anymore, not like this one and that one and Alicia. No, just this one and Alicia, right? It's a different combination, so you get a different person there. But then each one of these is still different from each other, right? And then if if you want to generate more to like find one that's the right one or closest to your whatever's closest from what you've generated to the ideal, then you can use, you know, from that one upscale it in order to highlight it in your on your profile, like so you can find it in your upscales, or just simply go straight to making variations of it and building that deep tree versus a shallow one. Shallow at the beginning, going wide, and then deep after. Right. So at the beginning it's just trying different things. So yeah, all I'm doing here though is just an experiment. It's just kind of a random experiment to show you what happens when you try that. Okay, so to go back, this one was created, right, and we copied the style of it, but I didn't use the image prompts. I used everything here, you know, like copy full command, but I did remove the 2 image prompts though. And then of course I changed it, right? I changed evil into good, darkness into light. So that was what I did originally. And I added in a different photo, so I'm making a portrait based on someone's photo, and then that resulted in this image. So it basically created a thing, and then I did an upscale from that, or maybe I did a variation and then did an upscale from that. And so that was how I created that one. So now you've seen how I made that. And then we also did more experiments, and that's these here, but it's kind of a throwaway experiment because I'm just showing it kind of randomly as something you could do to illustrate that if you try it different ways you'll get a different result. It's just ideas of different ways you can put the input in. So that was a demonstration of that. Okay, right, so when I did that thing, remember I just did it with the photo versus with the photo I added, and also not, and you can see a big difference. I already showed you this, but the point is I didn't do any variations. I just straight up went upscale 4, and that's where that came from. That's how it was done. Okay, so yeah, then we'll just go on to the next style. So these are just styles I found on the Midjourney Community Feed, kind of a cartoon style, and obviously futuristic sci-fi. Doesn't show sci-fi, but it says retrofuturism, which is going back into the past and imagining the future. So it's the future imagined from a past date. Like you could put in 1960s, right? Like this. If you want, you can add that in. It's just another tag. Like you can, when you separate everything by commas, you can just add that in there, or even just say it's 1960s retrofuturism or 1920s retrofuturism or whatever. And what I tried is I combined, in the past, I tried retrofuturism combined with ukiyo-e to make a different style. And you can do that. You combine any styles you want. So if you wanted to make your portrait in this style, then you copy this thing and then put in what you want. And it says it's a design for a t-shirt, so you might leave that there too, because that is influencing what results from it. But you would also put in your photo, and you could also describe yourself or not, and you could try one versus the other and just imagine both and see what happens. So that's an idea. And then we'll go to the next one. Now this is very specific, so you can learn a lot from this. That is if the results are good, and you can also try them. Just copy full command and imagine it, and you can see what you get. And if you want to test it, you could also put that in and go repeat a certain number, like 3 I guess, but I've already done 1, so I'll just go repeat 2 more times then, because I'm still getting a total of 3, right, because I already did it. So you could try it in the background while you're doing something else and see what you get from that, because each result will be different, right? Each time it was run, and you can see what happens. That's unless you put in a specific seed, because then each time you run it, it's going to be the same unless you change that seed number. And so here, this one is one of those upscaled, right? There's the parent. If you look at those, I think they're kind of probably quite different, so the chaos could have been high. Well, it's not super high, it says 30, but that's 30%. Okay, and this is what this one looks like. Alright, and then these are related. but whatever, you can look at that because I give you the link, and if it's still public, then anyone can look at it. So you could make yours like this if you want, but then you have to understand more what's going on here. And if you just leave it all the same, then it can work, right? And you can base this character that it's describing here on yourself, on your own photo if you want, and just put your photo in and leave the rest the same. Because if you start changing stuff, then you may have to change other things in it as well, right? Because it's pretty complicated. Okay, so then we'll go to another one. See, completely different. And it says Sid Mead here, so that's a sci-fi artist, I believe. Alright, and if you wanted to make art like this, you could just base yours on it, right? Copy the full command, imagine it, but then describe, if you aren't an American blonde woman, right, you could then edit that part differently, and if you want classes or not have them, you could take them out, right? And if you want it to be sunglasses, you could change that part, and they could be okay, translucent. I'm going to change it slightly. Okay, so I just changed some of the words. I think I'm spelling it wrong. Okay, so I changed a few words, but I kept the style the same, right? So you can try that. And then this bird, right? So this is a kind of watercolor painting. Watercolor illustration, watercolor on paper, it says. See, so if you want to make your style like that, we can do that. So what if we want to take something we made before and then change the style? This is where we put the same prompt in 3 times, right? So as a test, so you can see what we got there, comparing it to this one there, and you'll see the variety. But if you lower chaos, then the 4 together will be, they'll be grouped closer together in their variation from each other. And if you raise the chaos, then they'll be different, they'll be more different from each other. Right now it's at 30, like 30% of the maximum. 100 would be the most, and 0 would be the least variation between them, so they would be grouped close together. There's also stylize, that's at 1,000, so that's the maximum, and so that's giving it more creative freedom to go beyond, imagine, and be creative, and go beyond what you described. And that tends to work well, unless you want it to be like very photorealistic. Oh yeah, right, so say we want to use something from before, and then I guess combine it, right? Say we want to change the style. So let's try the tiger. So go back to the parent, it's upscaled tiger. So we can do a variation of it. See how it has very strong or very subtly. When you're far away, when you're just experimenting and going wide, you're exploring, then you would use very strong. So then it has a higher chaos, right? They have more variation from each other. But very subtly is when you're closer to the ideal or the end point. When you're finishing it, you're fine-tuning, so you want subtle changes. So that also corresponds to low chaos values. Okay, so this one, here's the prompt that's there, splash of colorful paint, right? And here's this other prompt, right? And we want to kind of influence this thing with that. Well, we can make it adorable, right? Cute and adorable. If we want, we can make him more like that too, or we don't have to. It's a colorful rainbow realistic tiger, right? But if we make it cute, we can add that in, right? And if you change it from Midjourney to like Niji, then it will use an anime generator, and then you can use different styles too there. We won't do that right now, but we can try it as a different variation of it. For now though, just using this, we want it to be, it's also a comic book style, see? Now it also says watercolor here, we definitely want that. It's in there twice. We could add it or just have the part back here, and just add that in. You see, it still has the white background, and this one is the same. It's on a white background, a pure white background. Okay, so I'm adding this part at the end, and if we want, we can also add watercolor again, right? And look at what we've got here. Well, I don't even know what that part means, okay? If we take that out, it's going to change, of course. Okay, t-shirt design. So this is a watercolor. If I just add it here, I can say that it's a watercolor t-shirt design or whatever. That's just the way I did it. Okay, so it's like making a variation of this, a remix, and adding in some of the style of this one to make it more watercolory than it was. And it's a rainbow, right? Rainbow realistic tiger head. See, we can do this. That's what I did. Another way to do it is to just bring this part, just copy that, right? And just bring that into this. Yeah, so this is this thing here. Copy full command. Okay, so here it says that we want this like bird, full body shot, baby bird, right? With a beautiful smile. Okay, now it's going to be like this. Yeah, it also says that it's cute and adorable watercolor, full body of a tiger. Do you want it to be a full body shot of a tiger or just the head, right? And here we have, remember, realistic tiger head. Well, it depends if you want the head or the full body, right? But one could be one way, one's another way. Okay. It also says leopards here. I'll just leave that, but I'm just pointing it out. You could change that to tiger. We're going to leave it just so we don't waste time. So this is like this, and then tiger. Yeah, see, full body shot, right? Well, you can change that to headshot if you want. Alright, so this also shows you there's a lot of different ways to do this. Because you could go from your other one and make a variation of it like we did before. And we changed the style, and see how it's getting cuter than what it was before. And it's a combination of both styles. And then later we used the other style, this thing here, and just added in like tiger instead of bird. And that's what it's now drawing there, and making them really cute and adorable, right? Like baby ones. Here, with the full body of the tiger, then here it will be the head, right? Yeah, headshot of tiger. Yeah, okay. Right, so you can see it drawing right there. It's like partially done. Okay, so the other experiment, yeah, we looked at this already. So that one was just putting that prompt in, but then I changed because it said blonde. Yeah, I just edited it to brunette, and there you can see a result. So also uniqueness at scale. Okay, and this right here, oh yeah, there, those are those two. So this is where we have the full body. So why can't you see the back of it? Well, because they're facing you, right? If they were to the side, it would be different. So it's still kind of the full body because he's standing up, and it's from the toes to the top of the head. But if you put him in profile view instead, see full body shot, right? Profile view. Because here they're looking at us head on. And then you can see how these are, right? And how they're a bit different from each other. And this is more baby, right? But we haven't said what the chaos is, right? So if we add that in, we got chaos at 0, and then chaos at like 50, and then also add 100. Okay, so we'll try that, and we'll be able to see what happens with it. That's pretty much the thing. See, we have our other one with the headshot, and the other one was the full body. So yeah, there's the headshot one. So making it watercolor, and you can see that it's different from what we had before, which was up here, which was based on a different style. Okay, and then, and of course you could even blend two different things together. If you try to combine a tiger and the bird, okay, you can just blend two images if you want, and you don't have to even explain it. You don't have to describe it. You need the image though. So if we save them, well, I've already done that, we can put those images in. So I do need the other one to blend it with, right? So right up here, go to that parent, get that one, save it, if that's the one we want. So we'll save that. It doesn't have to load. I think when I save it will make sure that it gets it. Okay, and then I'll just blend them. You can also do an imagine, right, and put the link to each image in it, but that also works, right? And then you could describe them, or you don't have to. You can do it either way. If you blend, you can't describe it. You can only put images in. Yeah, here I was just looking at which one it is, right? So you have the file name, because we need that, or we can drag it in. Okay, so it's that one cute and adorable, and then the other one is the one I just downloaded. Okay, I messed that up. There. Hit enter, I guess. There we go. And so that'll go. And then that'll just take a minute, but we have this we can look at, so that's good. So we did an experiment and tried the same thing, but with chaos at 0, 50, and 100. So that's leaving stylize at 150. So it's like this thing, right, with the profile. No, it's the full body shot before we added profile view. So it's like back here. It's basically like this. And then we tried that with chaos at 3 different levels. So that's what you get here. 0. So the differences will be smaller between each one of these, from them to, yeah, between each of them. And then 50, there should be bigger differences. Yeah, see, huge difference. Little cat, full body, full grown tiger. Yeah, and then also at 100%, even more different. Look at the difference between that one and that one, right? Completely, almost completely the opposite. Okay, and if you want more of them, just keep re-rolling it, or you can use repeat. If you like this, you can put in this prompt and add repeat and put the number of times you want it to run. There we go. That's the combined one. We blended a tiger and the bird, which someone else created. This bird here, Citron created it, or modified it, right? Whatever, because we don't know how it got invented, but obviously Citron created this one. So there. Now it's that bird combined with a tiger. We got a new creature, right? Never before seen, probably. And then we have an example of architecture, this next one here, or a landscape, a combination. And in this, it's pretty interesting if you look at the related stuff. There's quite a variety, and you can look at things and learn from them, or make variations from them. So say we blend our new creature with, well, we have to download it, so we might as well upscale one of these. Yeah, we might as well upscale one of them first, and then we'll be able to blend that thing with this, I guess, or the other one that's loading now. I'll just do this one. I've already saved it, so it's going to be that one there. Okay, but to do that, we're going to need the other one, right? So we gotta get this first. Is this it? That's this thing, right? It's just not loaded yet. Okay. So now, and we do have the option of which one we're going to do. Okay, we'll put in the new creature and one of these. Okay, I'll use that one. So that will be interesting, right? We'll see what happens. Okay, so I've saved that one, and you can see here in the notes there's both of those, Chinese illustration and this other one, right, with the pink and green, these clouds. They both have these clouds, right? But then here it's got these other colors, and you can see the difference. That was the earlier one I looked at. That's the next one with the green, the pink there, and the green here. Okay, so we're just adding that in. So with blend, you don't even have to describe it, right? And you don't know what it will do, but it will combine them together in some way. And yeah, we also have something else we can look at back there, right? Because we created something here before we did the chaos experiment here. So right before that, I believe we did this. That's where I added in profile view to try that, because we said, hey, that's full body, Really, right? Well, yeah, from the front. They're looking directly at you. So we change it to profile view, just add that, and that's what I got. So this one has turned to a different angle, right? And if you want more of them, you can do that. And you can read it and make sure, or change it to see how you can get it to do that. And it says profile view, right? We can just you can do a variation of that one and then change the prompt, right? Remix it and say side view, or of course just imagine it again from the beginning. So we'll copy that whole prompt, right? All that there, and then just go and imagine it again, because now it's going to be side view instead of profile view. So you can try that. And there, now we finally have this thing. So it's the new creature. It's a bird and a tiger combined. It's that creature combined with like architecture and a landscape, which was this one here. And that's what it resulted in. Okay, which is crazy. But that's what we got. There's that creature. He's in that mountain landscape. There's those trees, and they're simplified down. And there's his talons and stuff. You can have like a griffin in the mountains, a giant dragon that preys on the villagers, or like on their on their pagodas or houses, castles, palaces, whatever. So this is crazy. Okay, that's a little example of playing with that. And then yeah, we had the profile view. I guess we try profile view again. There's some more, or did I do a variation? This one is, it has a parent. See, from there, I did do variation of 2. See, that's odd because normally it would say variations or remix. And what's this? Well, that's the Chaos 100. Another Chaos 100. I'm not sure. I may have re-rolled it. Yeah, see, I re-rolled this. We just did, because we experimented with Chaos, 0, 50, 100, maximum. So they're different from each other by the maximum amount that it'll do. I re-rolled it, so it's just doing that one again. Yeah, this is cool, right? Neon colors thing. Like, say you want a painting like that of yourself. Well, first of all, we upscale it. Then we combine that thing with your photo. And you don't have to describe yourself as a tiger. You can have your description as a human in there. But use this style, right? Or blend the one photo with another. So there's lots of different ways you can do it. Okay, profile view, side view, right? It's not really a side view at all, but it's coming from the side slightly here a little bit, right? So we might have to try that differently. Okay, cool. Okay, and here's another style, and it's set in the style of mythic Art Nouveau. It also says synthetism inspired, and part of this is what made me make a list of styles, which is pretty extensive. Like there's even more styles than this, right? But that's a lot of styles, right? What style do you want to create it in? And as we were showing, that's what we're showing in this video. Look at the community feed, pick something, and you can emulate it. But the other way is to learn about different styles and explore them. So a couple of good places to look are right here, because each of these posts illustrates each style for you. Okay, but I also have other resources. You can check out these other ones too if you want. Yeah, I thought this was kind of cool, and also kind of like stained glass as well, right? And then if you wanted to make your painting or image in this style, you could. So you just, as usual, go copy full command. But I won't show you how to do it for these other ones because it'll just take too long, right? But you explore, find something, and then do that. So that's why I did the demonstration, the examples. Okay, so that was that cartoon one. We may have looked at this earlier. Now we're here again, and you've got the link to it and the full command with the prompt and the arguments. So you could make something in that style if you wanted. Ah, that's this one again. Yeah, this is the only thing I was missing there. There you go. That's basically where we'll leave it. We'll just take a look at these related ones, and you can see but that's another way to find them. So you look in the community feed, as we said before. Although I don't know if I even showed you that in this video. Not really much, right? Because I mostly just showed ones I bookmarked earlier by taking note of their URL. Well, actually I used one tab and then I brought them open again in order to find specific ones. So I haven't looked at the stuff below this, but I looked at the ones in there. So yeah, on the community feed, right? So yeah, you look at them on there, and then you can also look at related things from it, and we did that with something else. So then you can find something, if you want to use that style for your painting, or this other one over here, hold down Control, click, open them in a new tab, and you'll get them there like that. They're just loading. But then you'll be able to use those styles also if you want to. Right? You can make your own image like that, whatever you want. And this cartoon one, see, related ones here. So they're related based on the prompt, right? So some of the words in it are also in other ones, and then we're seeing those here. So you can pick something and then use it, and this would be good, like, it's a good style for like a poster. You just have to change the aspect ratio. Okay. Right, so on the community feed, top, there isn't a lot there, but they're the top rated, and rising, hot, so top, then hot, and then rising would be lower. New are just new, so they're not necessarily rising, but rising are being voted up, right? Hot is probably because it's voted, it was voted highly by a lot of people. Okay, so you can look through and find a style that you want to make your own art in. This is reminding me of something. I don't know. There's a thing which is kind of like a photo of a woman's face in profile, right? And it has these lights. It's got this light on it, but I don't know where it is, so I'm not really sure how to find it to bring it up if you want to make your art like in that style. Yeah, and you can see here it says in the style of soft focus technique. See how it's blurring a bit there. There's also like depth of field. You can put that in. And oh yeah, right. This is in the style of a certain anime artist. See, Miyazaki Hayao. However you say that, right? So they put in the style of a specific anime artist. You can also just put like Studio Ghibli or whatever. Right? And like this is pretty cool, right? You might want to make your art like based like this, but except it's you rather than someone else, right? Okay, anyway, you can see like this is where I found this one, and so you can make your own like something else, and then also you could also mix the styles. So you could find something you like this one, but also mix it with that style there too. Combine both. You'd have to look at both and then consider it and combine them. I'll just include a link if you want to try that, but I'm not going to do that right now. And then if you want to do that, we can just do that experiment in another video. So that'll be here. Yeah. So I'll include those and we'll leave that here. This is the video about checking out the community feed and then copying styles and even modifying from them. So copy full command and go and imagine it, and you can even add in your own photo with it. See, you might want to start from this, but if you wanted to start from a different one, you could do that. Okay, but we'll leave that here because we've already looked at that. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. AIArtGodMode.com